Hey guys, welcome back to another video. It's your man Jay Will. So this is after the hype, basically 24 hours later with the Moto G4. Now I bought this phone yesterday in the morning time and I didn't post my unboxing until later in the day because I just wanted to use it and kind of get a feel for it. But here I am after the hype with the Moto G4. Now this is one of Motorola's latest phones that have hit the market. It's really new, really fresh to the scene. Less than 30 days as far as being sold in the US, I'm going to say probably, at the recording of this video. So the first thing you see when you look at this phone is the 5.5 inch 1080p IPS display. It is actually much brighter than I thought it would be in person. IPS displays battle AMOLED displays all the time. I prefer AMOLED displays because of the brightness they can get to and the punchiness of the colors. That's just a preference. But as we know, I have other phones that are IPS displays and they're very good, very solid. But this one, however, coming in at the price point, even though it retails starts at $199, they're on sale everywhere. And I actually got mine once again for $149. And that is just a fantastic deal, and that's what makes it worth the purchase for what I'm getting. Now this display is 1080p and it's 5.5 inches and it is actually very bright. When I compared it next to a 720p AMOLED display, I was actually pretty shocked that it was performing at that level because the J7 is a phenomenal phone with a screen that's so bright and so vivid and so punchy, but it's an AMOLED display. So that phone almost appears to be a 1080p display, but when I actually put it up against a 1080p display, you can kind of see the difference a little bit. And it does have a better screen than some of the other phones I've described, the J7, but the G4 has a beautiful display coming in at 1080p at 5.5 inches. It actually really, I didn't think it was going to be this good. Sometimes when you look at things on video, you don't think that it's going to be that good, or you have your differences about it until you get it in hand. And this was one of those phones that I thought about when I saw the display. Now, one thing I will say, that the camera on the Moto G4 proved to be very good. I love how these pictures come out. I wasn't expecting such a good camera. Even the front camera proved to be very good. I'm going to snap this while I'm live here. And you'll see that now. These photos that are taken from this camera, I watched a video from a guy, and I follow him sometimes. His name is Ranji or something like that. He's overseas somewhere, but he has a big YouTube following, and he reviewed this phone next to the G4 Plus. And the differences were so minimum with the 16 megapixel and the laser focus, and he actually preferred this camera over the G4 Plus in a lot of areas. And so that didn't sway me away from the G4 Plus. What swayed me away from the G4 Plus is when Anthony was talking about the fingerprint reader and how he keeps hitting it sometimes to get the home button. I just didn't, I just wasn't sold on it at that point, and it kind of looks a little ugly at the bottom too. But the cameras on here perform very well. This is a 13 megapixel camera with a dual tone LED flash, and that dual tone LED flash really helps. The colors look natural when shooting in low light when the flash comes on. It's actually really good, and I was pretty surprised at that as well. Two good cameras, low price, really good screen. Let's continue. Now, here's something that I noticed on this phone that is different than some other phones. The 2 gigs of RAM. Now, when a phone comes out, I always grab the lower end. In most cases, if there's a lower end option, in most cases I'll probably grab that one just to see how good it is. And I know I can save lots of money, especially when I'm getting the same body. And that's what happened with this phone. The case that I have is actually for the G4 Plus, but it fits this phone because everything lines up the same. Now this is an actual tempered glass. I do have a tempered glass for the G4 Plus because I intended on bringing that one in too. So maybe if the price goes down, I'll grab the white G4 Plus later on, but not at 300 bucks. So the 2 gigs of RAM in this phone, some apps hang for some reason. I don't know if it's the processor, and I think it might be because I haven't gotten to the processor yet, but this phone has a Snapdragon 615. Now, you'll see posted online a lot of places 617, but this model actually has the 615. And the 617 is probably for the European market. But the 2 gigs of RAM in here, coupled with the Snapdragon 615 processor, I don't think it's the best combination. And I've had this problem before with another Huawei phone that I had with the 615 and also the Idol 3. That phone was super choppy, super laggy. Now this one is not laggy by all means. It's just that certain apps hang, and I don't know why they hang. I don't. If it could be the application, because on my HTC 10, there are some games that won't play, but they'll play on a phone that doesn't have a Snapdragon 820. Kind of weird. But some of the apps on here hang, and I don't know why it does that. And that's just one of those things that'll happen. Is it a deal breaker for me? Oh, no, no, no. Am I regretting my purchase? No, no, no. There are way too many things on this phone that are pros that outweigh some of the so-called cons that I might have. So the battery on this thing. The 3,000 milliamp hour battery on here, since there's no ultra power saving mode, here's a battery saving tip for people. Now, often people say they see me, and I get like 8 to 9 hours sometimes on certain phones, 6 hours. Here's what you do. If you're not already doing this, this is what I do. I can't tell you what to do. This is what I do. In order to save battery, at night, if there's an ultra power saving mode while I'm sleeping, I turn on the ultra power saving mode, because all it does is turn off notifications. It turns off all connectivity. It drops everything down. You know, it just keeps the phone at a serious idle. And I suggest that you do the same. Turn on ultra power saving mode while you're sleeping. You don't need notifications. You're not looking at the phone. You can't see it. That'll save you a ton of battery. Now, the Motorola G4, Motorola doesn't have, and stock Android doesn't have a superior ultra power saving mode. That's where phones like Samsung and LG and ZTE, they have the advantage on that, because they have an ultra power saving mode that shuts things off where you only get access to messaging, calculator, browser, email, and two other apps or something like that. That is a huge plus for phones. So with this phone, I went to sleep at 98%, and I turned on, since this doesn't have an ultra power saving mode, I turned on just a regular battery saver, and it dropped to 92% overnight, because all the notifications are still coming on. It's sipping. So it's actually, that's pretty good. You know, it's sipped about 5 to 6%, but nonetheless, it still was dropping. It was slowly dropping overnight. So I think that the standby time is going to be actually really, really solid on this phone. It's just that it's going to sip regardless. So right now at about 86% left, because I was at 92 when I woke up, but obviously I've been using this phone since, and I'm at 86%, and that's actually pretty good, because I've been on it, reading and catching up on some social media, and it still shows that I have about 3 days left on battery with a combination of mild to moderate use with just scanning through several apps. But I should be able to. I obviously might not be able to get 3 days. Obviously, well, it depends, but I'll get at least. I won't have to charge this phone again probably until tomorrow, that's for sure. So after the hype, the phone has been really good to me. It's super thin. I mean, it says that it's 9.8 millimeters, but I think we've gotten our standards a little too high when it comes to thickness on phones. And sorry if you hear the long guy, because they always seem to come by when I'm shooting in this area. They just go right up to my door. Hold on a second. So after the hype, I am still hyped. Those few little minor things that I pointed out that might look like a con, but it might not happen for you because you might not use some of those applications. But nonetheless, I've been super impressed with the camera, and I love adaptive storage. Motorola and HTC and all these other companies that decided to use adaptive storage, thank you for that. I wish Samsung would do that with their phones, because I posted a video on my S7 Edge back in the day saying how to move applications to the SD card. Well, all those people who commented and said it's not moving the entire application, you're absolutely right, because S7 Edge or Samsung, they don't have adaptive storage, and it's very frustrating and misleading, and some people don't even have the option. But the Bluetooth 4.0 on here works really good. Just that 615 processor is one that I've always tried to stray away from. But I couldn't pass on this phone. I really wanted this phone, and I wish it would have had a 652 Snapdragon. Oh, that just would have been killer. But there's no Quad HD display on here. It's not packing really, really heavy specs, so you don't need the 652. It would be nice to have, but it's not here. Other than that, man, I think the hype has worn off. You know, you get that initial, ooh, you know, and you're excited about your new purchase. The hype has worn off, but I'm still kind of pumped up. Was I a little shocked with the lag and opening in some of my apps, one or two maybe? Yeah. But the overall experience is a very fluid, hands down, a very nice experience. And I think you'll be happy with this purchase. If you can catch this phone at the deal, even at $199, I still think this is a better purchase than a lot of other high-end phones. They cost 3 and 4 times the cost. One thing I forgot to point out on the body, this has a ridged power button. Just like my Moto X Pure and the HTC 10, the power button is ridged, and that feels fantastic. It gives a little bit of a premium feel, even though this is plastic around here. That's actually pretty solid. But yeah, this phone has been really good to me so far in the last 24 hours. I haven't had any problems with it. I don't consider an application hanging a problem. I've really been enjoying this camera, and it's just, I think this is going to be a phone that I match up against. I always keep the powerhouse, the budget powerhouse phone by, because I love to match this phone up against other phones that I bring into my catalog. I love it. I love matching them up because I think that this phone is like a standard for budget phones. This is a powerhouse phone with a beautiful display at a really good price. And it does cost more than this phone, and this phone does have it's a little bit better than that phone in some ways. And I'll show you in a battle video that I plan on putting up. But after the hype, man, I'm super excited to have picked up this phone for $149. The adaptive storage on here is such a huge plus, bumping my phone up to over 100 gigs. So just think about that. And I think I paid $29 for my 128 gig Lexar micro SD card slot. So then that takes my purchase. I mean, I bought that card a long time ago, but it takes my total package to about 180 bucks or so with taxes for 100 and something gig, 128 gig. Let's just call it 128 gig Moto G4 just at the market. I think that's a fantastic deal. So it's your man Jay Will. This is after the hype with the Moto G4 Plus, or excuse me, Moto G4. Pretty much 24 hours later. After the hype, I'm still hyped. All right, guys. I'll see you in the next video. Get this phone. I think you'll like it. Take care. I should have put my glasses on because everything is so blurry right now.